You never know which one is going to be the one that is the opportunity you receive and that changes your life.
Someone has to kind of advocate for them and protect them and keep them flying.
Told my friends, told my family, this is going to be a really intense training. There's going to be things in your life and my life that we miss out on because I'm in this program.
You have to find your own path, and I can tell you how I did it, and that's not going to work today because times are different.
Hi, I'm Greg from Pilot Institute. The dream of flying can feel impossible when you see the price tag on training. But joining me today are two incredible scholarship winners who are making their dream of flying a reality. Carissa Yang and Sarah Sanford are the recent recipients of the Chicago Leading Edge Women in Aviation Chapter Pilot Institute Scholarship. They're going to share what inspired them, the challenges that they faced, and then also what it means to build a career in aviation today. Let's get to it.
Hi, I'm Carissa. I'm a member of Chicago's Leading Edge, and I'm currently working as a flight instructor.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I am here to represent Chicago's Leading Edge chapter of Women in Aviation, which I've been a part of for many years and a member of, both serving on their board and simply as a member active in the organization. And now I go between Illinois and New Jersey, and I fly corporate helicopters in the New York metro area.
How you get involved with CLE?
And I first became involved with them when I was starting to think about a career in aviation. So I reached out to the chapter, asked to connect, and was looking to gain perspective on different women who were in aviation, how they got there, and what inspired them.
So you first signed up for flight school in August of 2023. What was going through your mind at that time? Like, what really made you dive into flight training?
So aviation was a career change for me. I had graduated college. I had never previously had plans about going into aviation, but around the time I was graduating, it was the pandemic, and I was looking for different opportunities, and United Aviate Academy had opened their flight school. So I had never even considered being a pilot before, but I was encouraged by my mom, actually, who is a flight attendant. And she said, you love traveling, you love going out there and trying new things, and this could be a really great opportunity for you. So I reached out actually online to a United pilot, and I said, hey, I've never met a woman who's a pilot before, and I'm really curious how you got in this industry, what you think about it. And she was so kind to sit me down. We talked. And I actually spoke with a lot of different mentors who were really kind to give their time, their experiences, and encourage me, go out there, fly a plane, do a discovery flight, connect with other people, and see if this is something that you're interested in.
That's awesome. The mentor thing is a theme that we see a lot with folks that get started in aviation. They have somebody in their life that can help them, get there. So I love hearing that for sure.
I've been involved with Chicago's Leading Edge for several years, I would say 9. And originally as a member, then I moved on to their board as the secretary, both that and the membership chair. And that was kind of a nice foot in the door for not only volunteerism, but meeting people in my area in aviation, women specifically, of course. And it was a great, great experience. I worked under a woman named Maureen, who was the president of that chapter at the time, taught me everything I knew. Just a wonderful person. She's a captain at United, and basically was able to meet that group of women in Illinois in similar fields.
Mm-hmm. What do you do now?
Now I fly helicopters for a corporate flight department in the New York metro area.
What kind of helicopters do you fly?
I fly right now primarily the Augusta 139.
And we'll put a picture of that on the screen for people to see what it is. You went through private all the way through MEL pretty quickly, and then now you're teaching. You're a flight instructor. How did stepping into the instructor's shoes kind of change your perspective on aviation and flying in general?
It's definitely very different from the right seat or sometimes the left seat, depending on the student. But it gives me a lot of respect for my instructors. They are out there every day working really hard, right, to make sure you have a great experience, to make sure that you have the skills that you need to succeed in the future. And so my goal having had some really great instructors in the past is to bring that same wisdom and that experience to my students, right? And to make sure that they have fun in the plane every day, right? It's something that's really unique, and it's an incredible experience. So you really want to go out there, not only do the best that you can, but want to be the best that you can.
Yeah. Have you had any moments yet where it just makes you smile in the airplane or even on the ground and makes you just grateful that you can tutor people and help people?
Definitely. I think the first one that really felt like it clicked, where it was like, yeah, like I know what I'm doing, and this is something that I can do, was with one of my private students. They came in, were landing, and they'd been really struggling with their landings. And they finally came in, and I was sitting there, and they just did great. Just came in, floated it down the runway, greased the landing, and they turned to me with the biggest smile, and were like, I just did that. And so that was really unique. And I think that's such a unique experience. But I think the other one wasn't actually in the plane. It was with the sim. And the student came up to me after and said, we've finished a lesson. They were about to walk out and they said, this is the first time I've been in the sim where I feel like I'm not wasting my time. And I'm really out here learning. And I think that was really fundamental too, because it's not just about the part in the plane, but it's about all of the different pieces, the ground knowledge, the sim, the practice, and the mentality that you're bringing to it. So that was really great.
Yeah, I love that light bulb moment. I remember when I taught in the classroom, I would see students and you could tell like they were just sitting there and all of a sudden they just got it. They just understood that one piece that was missing. And I always love that too. So yeah, I appreciate you saying that for sure. What gave you that spark of wanting to be a pilot, wanting to be in aviation?
I always wanted to be a pilot growing up, but I had zero idea how, and no one in my family, no background of aviation. So I went through school just as that in the back of my mind, thinking that's something I'd never do or be able to do. I got a degree in geology, which I also loved. I worked in environmental private consulting for a few years, and I lived in Oregon. I worked for a geology firm, and they had me stationed in Oakland on a project for several months. And on the weekends, I honestly had nothing to do. I had kind of exhausted the go out to the parks and go out to the hikes and go out to the waterfalls or whatever you could find. And I said, I'm going to go for it. So I went and did a flight lesson in Watsonville, California. And then I just went from there.
Why helicopters and not airplane? Because most people gravitate typically towards airplanes.
Yeah, I went into it thinking I'm going to go do an airplane intro flight. And I said, well, let me just rule helicopters out. I'll do one flight and just make sure that I want to do airplanes, and then immediately hooked on that because kind of the diversity of jobs attracted me and the range of things you could do.
Yep. You had some training hiccups throughout your training initially and some delays, and that can zap your motivation pretty quickly. How did you stay upbeat throughout the training and kept going?
I've been really lucky to have a really supportive family, a really supportive friend network as well. When I started my training, I had told my friends, told my family, this is going to be a really intense training. It's supposed to be a 1-year program. You're going to go in, right? And I don't know, maybe I won't have time to call. There's going to be things in your life and my life that we miss out on because I'm in this program. But they were so understanding, and they were like, when you can update, let us know, right? We want to know the good. We want to know the bad. And having someone there to listen, right? Even if they don't know exactly the struggle or can experience it the same way, just to know that they were there and, they wanted to see me succeed and to continue on. So not only like the friends, the family, the mentors as well, right? Hey, like, here's this advice, here's what you need to do to keep going. But knowing like that they had faith in me to continue on was a really big, powerful motivator for me.
Yeah. Having a strong network is also something that we hear a lot from people who go through challenges typically in their life. So during your time at CLE, is there something that kind of struck you, a moment that struck you where you were out there that kind of helped either continue doing what you were doing or gave you the willingness to do more about what you do with volunteer and helping others in the community?
It was the foundation for experience because there are friends of mine who I've served in these organizations with or on the boards of them. And coincidentally, while being on the board of Chicago's Leading Edge, I had just gotten involved with the Whirly Girls, which is essentially the Women's International Helicopter Pilot Association. And being involved in those concurrently, just gave so many experiences for things that I actually didn't have the skills of previously, as in went back to doing a lot of Excel Word or Microsoft Word or some graphic design or whatever they need. And what's really actually probably the biggest piece of this is that what that did was became event coordination for those organizations, which got the attention of my current aviation mentor, who is one of the most important people in my life. And he would have never seen me if I wasn't planning parties for the Whirly Girls.
Yep. Well, it's a small world. And, sometimes it's just that one person that you meet that you never know.
Absolutely.
Where it's going to take you next. Yeah, I agree with that. How did it feel when you heard that you received the scholarship from Women in Aviation, the Leading Edge? How do you think this is going to affect you going forward?
It was a big moment. I think you apply for thousands of scholarships, right? You never know which one is going to be the one that is the opportunity you receive and that changes your life. But again, it's the idea that someone out there reads your application, sees your story, and says, hey, this is a story that we want to continue seeing unfold. And so just having that piece of, hey, like, we think that you're on a path where you're going to continue to achieve great things, and that you're going to be an important part of this community is an uplifting thing, especially when it's coming from other women who are in aviation.
So you received a scholarship at one point in September of 2024 to do your single engine airplane, private pilot. How did that kind of change your trajectory from here?
Yeah, it was at the perfect time because there are great helicopter jobs out there, but there's a theme in corporate where there's a lot of dual positions. And I, for so long, said I've got to work on airplane ratings. I've got to get that going. And so getting just a few $1,000s to get going with that meant everything, because it was that push that I needed to just start going for it and finally get through it.
Yeah, that little motivation to get started.
Absolutely.
So now you're a contract helicopter, and you've been juggling, we talked about this before, the different departments. Now you're a little bit more with, one department. What's the kind of the best part of your job? On a day-to-day basis, what's your favorite thing?
The best part about the helicopter community in New York is the actual, the coworkers themselves and the other pilots. It's a really small group, and there's factions. There's a lot of people that get along with them and their friends, and then there's other groups, and there's groups of them. But like, my core group is amazing.
That's awesome. What about the trickiest part of the job?
Customer service.
Customer service, yeah. So dealing with customers and in general?
Yeah, it's a little high pressure.
So you were able to come and join us at Oshkosh at the booth at Pilot Institute. What's something that grabbed your attention? What's something that grabbed your attention the most?
I think two parts. One, when working the booth itself, seeing all the people who actually just came up and they weren't, coming by to ask about what Pilot Institute was, but to say, hey, I've used the ground school, it's changed my life, and it's given me this opportunity for a career that I never thought I could pursue. And that's just so inspiring to hear and to see how excited they are, to meet you, to meet the team, to see, where they're going to continue to go from here. The second part of it was just getting to go to Oshkosh in general. It was my first time going. And so getting to see all the different planes, the formation flights. I love the vintage planes as well. So getting to see all of them lined up there was really amazing. Yeah,
it's quite the show. Any highlights, any big surprises over there, being your first time?
I don't know. It's so hard to pick. I think one thing was really cool. I was walking around the grounds and I looked up because there was a plane, so naturally. And they were flying in formation, and it was maybe 7 planes, and they were flying in the shape of a plane. And I thought that was just so fun.
Yeah, it's just there's so many unique things that you see at the show that you wouldn't see anywhere else. And it's funny because after all these years that we've done it, and we've done multiple shows, every time you hear a loud plane or just hear a plane, you go outside the tent and you go look. It's just that reflex, and you have hundreds of thousands of people around you that do the same thing. So it's really
Yep.
cool being around people, to me, that enjoy the same kind of stuff. So you put a lot of time into the Whirly Girls. We talked about this, and then you're also part of the Eastern Region Helicopter Council. What keeps you going? You put a lot of time to help the community. What's the motivator?
Yeah, luckily, between the three of those we've talked about, I rotate in and out. I am retired from the Whirly Girls for now, but I will definitely not be gone forever because I still love that organization. I'm not on the board of CLE right now, but I'm still very active in it. And Eastern Region takes up a good amount of time these days, and they have a big event coming up that I'll help them plan, their annual meeting for their membership. But I think just, keeping it fresh and kind of, you have to be really honest about where you're at and how much you can give, and when you kind of can set one aside and walk away for a minute, and when it's in good hands, and then when the other one is in need and you can go back and help a little.
Yep. I agree. The balancing, giving you time and then having to work is sometimes difficult. You finished your commercial multi-engine airplane as well since then. And then how does that kind of help with your helicopter background at the same time?
Yeah, so then one of the main motivations to get the airplane ratings added on was to be qualified enough to apply for some of the dual jobs that come up. So in this past year, I was really going for a dual position where they wanted someone that flies the helicopter that I'm already typed in and have some experience in, and they wanted to slowly kind of spool someone up on their airplane side too, or so that was the job description at the time. And while I went through many interviews for it, I didn't ultimately get it, but it was the perfect setup for kind of what I would like to gear towards in the future.
What are you trying to accomplish with these organizations? Can you tell me more maybe about each of the organizations and what their goals are?
Yeah, Chicago's Leading Edge, honestly, that's like my little home base. Like Illinois, or if you're from Illinois, you're from Chicago, even though you're not. So that I kind of always go back to, and obviously, like we talked about, I still work in Illinois a little bit, so it's just a group of women and their husbands and their boyfriends and their kids, right? Like they're amazing people, and everybody, I think in aviation, it's so intense that you need that group that you can just go back to sometimes. Whirly Girls is a different purpose for me. That's straight up watching women who might never get some of the things they get out of that, get it, and to be like on the front lines of helping them get there. That's a huge scholarship program. And Eastern Region is actually helicopter advocacy in New York. So if anyone's familiar with the New York area, helicopters aren't so popular there because they're so loud. And tragically, there's a lot of things that happen with them, right? So historically, someone has to kind of advocate for them and protect them and keep them flying. And that work keeps me working. So,
looking back on everything that you've tackled so far, what's your favorite win? And then we'll talk about the advice that you would give to somebody else.
I think probably just the first time that I passed a check ride, knowing that I had gone into this exam, and, something that I'd spent months preparing for, and coming out of it and having my DP shake my hand and say, "Congratulations, you're a pilot." I'm the first pilot in my family, so it's really, really amazing to know that I have all of this hard work, to know that I'm making my family proud, my friends proud, my mentors proud, and to be able to bring that to the table every day.
You've accomplished a lot so far. Looking back, is there like a milestone that you can think of that kind of started it all, that really gets you going?
I'm trying to think of which rating when I finished. Felt like I finally had kind of made it.
Yeah.
I think it must have been commercial helicopter that when I got done with it, I just felt a little relief of like, man, I could finally sort of do this. Oh no, I remember the other milestone. The first time I got paid.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
a scary thing and a great thing at the same time.
The first time I flew an intro flight and someone handed me a $20 tip, I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Someone is paying you to fly
Yeah.
these things, right?
Yeah.
We interviewed an airline pilot that had been doing this for 40 plus years, and he said, "I still can't believe to this day that they pay me to do this." And he just loved it. He just absolutely loved, being in aviation and flying airplanes every day.
Absolutely.
Really cool. So you spend a lot of time helping young women get into this, and I think you're a great role model for that. If a young woman asks you what it takes to get into this, how to jump into aviation, or if they even should jump into aviation, what would you say?
I would defer to the fact that you have defined your own path, and I can tell you how I did it, and that's not going to work today because times are different. And then she can tell you how she did it, but you don't want to do it that way, or whatever the case, right? So everyone, if you do it your own way and you actually enjoy getting there, then you'll end up where you wanted and what your goal was to begin with. But what I think people fall into the trap of is just trying to rush there and follow a recipe, and I just don't always see success with that.
Yeah, everybody has a different path, and I think it's very clear for us when we talk to pilots. There's not two pilots that have done it the same way.
No.
There's just so many ways to get there. I agree. I think that's a great tip. Would you do it again if you had the option 10, 15 years ago to do this?
Yeah, I do think there's things I'd do differently, but not totally differently.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with how I got anywhere.
What advice would you give to somebody who's watching this video and is wanting to be a pilot or is not sure if they want to be a pilot? What would you tell them?
Just go for it, right? You never know until you take that first step. And I think it's really easy, especially for women as well, right? For minorities, to not see yourself in the plane and to think, how will I get there, right? But you want to be the one who tells you want to be the person who says no, right? Don't let someone else dictate it, or the thought of someone else dictating that for you set barriers for yourself. If you can see yourself there, right, that's the only person who matters. So try it out. You never know until you try.
That's very powerful. I like that. Now, we may not have a scholarship for everyone out there, but there's still a lot of ways that you can save money on your training. You can check out our free ultimate guide to becoming a pilot for some great tips on how to save money while training. Fly safe, and we'll see you in the next one.